The UEFA Champions League is the best form of entertainment the world has to offer. Forget Dune, forget Marvel, forget the Oscars, forget the Super Bowl, forget the Stanley Cup, forget all of that. Forget Star Wars, Lord of the Rings. This is the best form of entertainment the world has to offer. If you guys are new members, welcome. If you're a returning member, welcome back. Trying to hit 1,000 subscribers by the end of the year, and I cannot do it without your help. So if you enjoy the videos you're seeing and you want to see more, hit the subscribe button. It's free. Let's get right back into the video. So the Champions League second leg quarterfinals concluded tonight. And after the fact, Bayern Munich and Arsenal finalized the final four, meeting Paris Saint-Germain and Atletico Madrid in the next round of the Champions League. But tonight's fixtures, or should I say fixture, I didn't watch the Arsenal Sporting game again because I don't watch Arsenal. Bayern Munich against Real Madrid, and Bayern Munich come out 4-3 winners on the night, 6-4 on aggregate after a 2-1 victory at the Bernabeu. In a game that, for the most part, Bayern Munich controlled, and Bayern Munich with a better side, just as they've been throughout the season. Objectively, Bayern Munich have been the better team in all competitions. But in this competition, you can never write off Real Madrid. And from the first leg, we saw that this is definitely a game that Real Madrid could get something from. Chances after chance after chance for Real Madrid, Mbappe, and Vinicius most heavily. And in this leg, it was just a continuation of the fact. But the difference between last time and this game was that Real Madrid actually took their chances. And today's game was nothing short of breathtaking. This is one of those fixtures in many years we'll look back on and we will say, that was a Champions League classic. I am a Barcelona fan. I am programmed to dislike Real Madrid, and I do dislike Real Madrid. But really and truly, when these guys play in the Champions League, you have to admire what they do. Whether by hook or by crook, whether by robbery or clean, these find a way to compete in this competition. Whether it's with injuries, their best players or not, Real Madrid always turn up in these games. And when you came into tonight's 1-0 down or 2-1 down, 1 goal down from the first leg, you still felt as though Real Madrid had an opportunity to go through tonight. And those beliefs would have been fortified after 40 seconds into the game. Manuel Neuer gives away a cheap goal, and Arda Güler puts them 1-0 up, and it's level 1 minute into the second leg. And you're sitting there thinking, Real Madrid, they're going to do it again, aren't they? They're going to do it again. They are going to do it again. And Manuel Neuer continued his calamitous performance in that opening 20-25 minutes. He looked a bit shaky. Arda Güler scores that free kick that kind of looked like it was Neuer's fault, but at the same time, it was a very, very well-struck free kick after they got the equalizer from, I believe it was Pavlovic, who was really, really applying pressure on Lunin. Lunin looked very shaky on all the corners from Real Madrid tonight. But Manuel Neuer, after that incredible performance you saw in that first leg, that performance that you looked at him and it really emphasized to the whole world once again how great Manuel Neuer has been throughout his career. For him to perform like that in the first half, I was getting shades of 2024. I was getting shades of 2024 when Manuel Neuer was dropping the ball right in front of Joselu. And Joselu was scoring 2 goals in the Champions League semi-final. I was getting shades. I thought, not again. Not again. No, Manuel, not again. But luckily for him, Harry Kane was at the forefront of the Bayern Munich comeback, and he equalized to make it 2-2 after lovely work from Upamecano for the goal. Lovely drive and a brilliant assist. Harry Kane takes that touch inside, gets past the defender, waits, slots it into the other side of the goal. But even then, equalized for Bayern Munich. You think now this is where Bayern Munich take the ascendancy in the game. This is where they take control of the matter. But Real Madrid come rushing back. Vinicius Jr., lovely running behind. And that's what Real Madrid's whole game plan was tonight. Sit deep, defend, be compact, and spring on the counterattack. Brahim Diaz offering that outlet, offering that connection between the midfield and the attack. And Vinicius and Mbappe, you know what they're going to do. They're going to run in behind. They're going to cause chaos. They're going to stretch the defense. And that's exactly what they did tonight. Vinicius finding Mbappe brilliantly. Mbappe makes that darting run into the box. If you guys watch that goal back, you can see Mbappe, he's not even, I won't say he's not in shot. You can see him within the TV frame, but he's not even in consideration for the cross into the box. And then he just starts darting straight into the defense, straight into the heart of Bayern Munich defense. And he's there to calmly slot it past Manuel Neuer. And you're looking at it and it's 3-2 going into halftime. And in a big game where you looked at it and you thought, this is the game that Kylian Mbappe needs to turn up. This is the game that Vinicius Jr. needs to turn up. Forget all the noise, forget all the criticism, forget all the nonsense you've seen in La Liga. The Champions League is where Real Madrid make their money. And Kylian Mbappe tonight turned up in spades. He was exemplary tonight for Real Madrid. One of their best players on the field, was constantly causing threat for them, making runs in behind. I thought he could have been a bit more selfless. There were moments he could have passed the ball to Vinicius. There were moments where he could have found the Brazilian man on the left side a few more times. But when he did get the opportunities, he took them. Of course, he had that chance that was a brilliant cross from Trent Alexander-Arnold, which he probably should have taken. But in that position there, he hits it hard. He hits it on the volley. And ultimately, Manuel Neuer is up to it. At that point in the game, luckily for, people who weren't supporting Real Madrid, Manuel Neuer was able to make the save. As I said, Bayern Munich had all the control. They had most of the possession. They were the ones penning Real Madrid back. But Real Madrid don't care about that. As long as they have that ability to play out, as long as they have that ability to play the ball down the line, straight through the middle, they were causing threat for Bayern Munich. And the only player for me, in my opinion, who you could look at in that sense that really hurt Real Madrid tonight was Vinicius Jr. There were moments, half chances, even full chances at times where you felt like Vinicius needed a bit more quality. Even though Mbappe tonight performed at a very high level, his running mates in Vinicius did not meet that level whatsoever. And I think on another night, if he was playing even at 75% the level Mbappe played tonight, maybe Real Madrid go through. Other players in the Real Madrid team that I thought were really good tonight, I thought Jude Bellingham. I've said it many times on this channel. I'm not the biggest fan of Jude Bellingham, but I don't believe Jude Bellingham is a bad player. But Jude Bellingham tonight was incredible. And you saw the difference in the midfield when he's in the team and when he's not in the team. From the first leg when he came on and this second leg where he played the full 90 minutes, just provides that physicality in the midfield, runs a lot, provides that support for his teammates whenever he needs to, kind of set out fires. Jude Bellingham tonight was exemplary, was able to drive with the ball, was able to bring the ball out of the defense, was able to relieve pressure for Real Madrid at many times in this game. Sometimes I feel as though he's not the best player to play in those deeper positions, but tonight he had to do that. Alongside, I believe it was Arda Güler was next to Valverde in the double pivot in the center of midfield because Tchouaméni was suspended. I thought Jude Bellingham played very, very well tonight. I thought he offered them what they needed in spades in that midfield. Honestly, I thought he was top. As well as Ferland Mendy on the left-hand side, who had to come up against Michael Olise after that first leg where Michael Olise was pretty much doing whatever he felt like in Madrid against Alvaro Carreras. I thought this second leg, Michael Olise was kept to a bare minimum. Of course, we all know what he went to do towards the end of the game, but I thought for majority of the game, Ferland Mendy kept him pretty quiet. Of course, a player like Michael Olise, as good as he is, he's still going to have moments in the game. All top players, no matter how well the opposition is defending, they're still going to have moments in the game. But I think Ferland Mendy kept it to a very, very low minimum in this game. And ultimately, Real Madrid played a very, very good game. The game state kind of fitted what they needed, especially getting that early goal. It meant that Bayern Munich needed to come out even more. And that high line of Bayern Munich, it was just completely under threat throughout the game by that Real Madrid pacing behind. And then, of course, in the second half, after those 5 goals in the first half, where it was kind of just back and forth thriller football, the game obviously kind of came down, it settled down. You saw the players start to be a bit more controlled. I think that would have been a huge, huge word from Vincent Kompany in his halftime team talk to not turn it into a basketball game. Because if that's what you're playing with Real Madrid, you are going to lose every single time. I thought Bayern Munich gained a lot more control in that second half. Real Madrid didn't have as much threat in the second half, even though Vinicius had a big chance. Mbappe had that chance that we said from Trent Alexander-Arnold. But I thought they kept it to a bare minimum. Because generally in that first half, every time Real Madrid went forward, it felt like they were going to score. But in the second half, I thought Bayern Munich kind of honed it back a little bit. I thought Luis Diaz in this game, he tried. It was a great, great matchup against Trent because you know what Trent offers going forward. You know what Diaz offers going forward. They're both players that are going to send each other going the opposite way, should I say. And Luis Diaz in the end gets that goal that ultimately sends Bayern Munich through. Harry Kane gets his goal tonight. Wasn't the best of performances from him. He was dropping deep a lot, trying to drag defenders out of play, but it didn't really work out for him. Serge Gnabry tonight had little to no impact. And Michael Olise, as I said, other than the goal that he scored to kind of wrap things up and send Bayern Munich through to the semifinals, didn't really have his best game tonight. But as I said, I felt like the game state really fit what Real Madrid wanted to do. Conceding that early goal for Bayern Munich was probably the worst thing that could have happened because then it just sends the game into a state where Bayern Munich now have the onus on them to score. And when you have that on top of the fact that you're playing against a Real Madrid team who's very willing to allow you to have the ball, now you're kind of in a tricky situation. I think they did very well to quickly reply each time Real Madrid did score. And then once Real Madrid scored the 3-2, they kind of just controlled the game because if you continue to play that sort of game with Real Madrid, you could very well run into a situation where Real Madrid kind of just blow you out of the water. And the way they were playing in that first half, had that first half continued going on for, say, 10, 15 minutes, and they kept playing that same way, Real Madrid could have taken that 2-goal buffer. And once you get that 2-goal buffer, then you start playing desperate. Then you start losing your head. Then you start getting frustrated. I think Bayern Munich did really well to keep themselves calm in that situation and just understand to play the game rather than the occasion. One thing that did completely change the tie, in my opinion, I won't say completely changed because it was pretty late into the game, but I thought the red card to Camavinga, as I said, I'm a Barcelona fan, so I'm not even rooting for Real Madrid in this, but I thought that red card was very soft. I think one thing with the decisions that referees need to make, at least in these sort of games, in my opinion, and it also applies to the Champions League quarterfinal that we saw yesterday between Barcelona and Atletico Madrid, all the videos coming out that Sorloth basically kicked himself. I feel like you need to take into consideration that not only are you giving a red card for a foul, but you're also giving a red card in a game in which this red card is going to completely change the whole trajectory of the game. Because that's the way I also see it. Because, of course, you have to punish the offense. You have to punish what's been done on the field. But at the same time, too, you need to look at the offense and say, is this punishment warranting the whole denial of the whole jeopardy of this game? Such that the punishment I'm about to give this player, is this foul bad enough, or is this offense bad enough that I need to completely throw away the jeopardy of this game? Because just as it happened with Barcelona and Atletico Madrid, the minute you give that red card, the whole jeopardy of the game is gone. Atletico Madrid are going to win that game. And just like it was tonight, the minute you give that red card to Camavinga, and some people will argue that red card is probably even softer than those 2 red cards Barcelona got. The minute you give Camavinga that red card, Bayern Munich were already in the ascendancy. By giving him that red card, you've pretty much completely given the game to Bayern Munich. Even if Luis Diaz doesn't score that goal, if that game goes to extra time, Bayern Munich are going to win that game. And I just feel like the offense that was committed by Camavinga, I don't think it's warranted giving a punishment that completely throws off the jeopardy of the game. Yes, he fouls Kane. It's a soft foul. It's a cheap foul, right? You keep the game going. He then kind of dribbles away with the ball, as we see many players in modern day football do. The amount of times I've seen players commit a foul, pick up the ball, walk away, and then throw it back as they're running away. It's such a common thing. And I didn't feel like I didn't think the punishment was warranted in that situation. I didn't feel like you needed to completely destroy the whole jeopardy of the game just because of a player walking away with the ball. Had they committed a last man foul like Kubarsi or like Garrett Garcia, okay. Had they committed an act of violent conduct, okay. But these cheap sort of red cards, I don't think it's warranted. But ultimately, Bayern Munich took advantage of the red card, Luis Diaz and Michael Olise scoring those goals towards the end to basically kill off the entire tie. Real Madrid would definitely feel hard fought by or hard done by. And I kind of stand with them. I never thought I'd ever say this, but I kind of stand with Real Madrid in that case. I don't think that was definitely a red card offense by Camavinga. And it just continues a terrible run of form for the Frenchman, a player who's really struggling right now at Real Madrid. He's not getting a lot of minutes. He's struggling to get into the side. He's been struggling with injuries for a few months now. And he's not really catching good form. And this is a player who we saw a really high level from 2-3 years ago. So there's even rumors talking about he might leave the club. I don't think he'll get to that stage, but you really hope for a player as good as he is, he'll be able to find that form again. But ultimately, what this means now for Bayern Munich is that they progress to the next stage of the Champions League, where they will be facing off against Paris Saint-Germain, who suffered 2 injuries yesterday. I also forgot to mention that. Those were confirmed today, as it's going to be interesting to see how Paris Saint-Germain cope without Nuno Mendes and Doué if they were to miss the semifinal. Of course, we've seen this sort of fixture before. We saw in the Club World Cup. Of course, not as big of a competition, but I think it's kind of a taster of what you're going to see in this 2 legs. I think that high line from Bayern Munich in these 2 legs against Real Madrid kind of showed you where their weaknesses lie. Yes, they're great on the ball. Yes, they're incredibly difficult to play against with their press. But if you're able to play over them, which Paris Saint-Germain definitely can, players like Mendes, players like Hakimi, players like Vitinha, they're able to play those passes over the top. And when you have players like Dembele, players like Barcola, players like Kvaratskhelia, players like Doué, these are players that can hurt you going the other way. So it'll be interesting to see how Paris Saint-Germain fare off against Bayern Munich. It should be an exciting game. In my opinion, these are the 2 best sides in world football. The 2 best sides in world football. And home and away is going to be absolute cinema, man. And finally, as for Real Madrid, where this takes them from here, of course, knocked out the Copa del Rey, out of the Champions League now, and 9 points behind Barcelona with a all to play for El Clasico on May 10th at the Camp Nou. Ultimately, Real Madrid will probably finish the season trophyless, That will make it 2 trophyless seasons in a row for the Los Blancos, and huge questions surrounding this team and Kylian Mbappe. Where do Real Madrid go from here? The next thing is probably about who they hire as a manager. You definitely have to ask the question whether Kylian Mbappe and Vinicius Jr. can continue playing with each other. Tonight was probably one of their better games as a duo, but in the long term, I don't think this is something that can keep on going. There are areas of this squad that you definitely need to have a few upgrades, but who knows? Real Madrid for these last few seasons, these last 2 in particular, ever since Mbappe's come into the side, and I don't want to make the easy and lazy narrative that's Kylian Mbappe is the reason this side isn't doing well. But I mean, the proof is in the pudding. A side that won a Champions League and a La Liga, they signed Kylian Mbappe and now they don't look anywhere close to the top honors, both in Europe and domestically. So it'll be interesting to see where Real Madrid go from here. Bayern Munich come out victors in the end. As for Arsenal versus Sporting, I did not watch that game. I will not be watching the highlights. I do not care. Arsenal versus Atletico Madrid, I will be very honest with y'all. If not for the fact that I make videos about football, I might not even make a video about that. You know what? I'm not even going to make a video about the Atletico Madrid Arsenal game. How about that? I'm not even going to make a video about that because I guarantee you that is going to be 90 minutes of absolute nonsense. That's what that's going to be. But let me know all your thoughts down in the comment section down below. What did you think about that blockbuster game? What do you think about Bayern Munich versus Paris Saint-Germain going into the next round? Let me know about that and a whole lot more. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and as always, take care of yourselves.